I don't like having to work. I want to do nothing. I want to travel the world for a year and take a world tour and just do nothing for a year. Just enjoy and spend money. That's what I want to do. And I want money to be pouring into my bank account, a minimum of $50,000 a week, being deposited in my bank account every single week, and I don't have to do anything. It just comes in.
This is the Kevin Trudeau Show.
I am exposing the corruption in government and in major multinational corporations. We're telling you the things that they don't want you to know that will make your life better.
The companies I've been associated with, the companies I've owned, if you add them all together, it's estimated of like, I don't know, 20, 25 billion in sales worldwide. Nobody knows for sure. It's huge money, though, for clearly. So I've manifested a lot. But personal wealth acquisition was never my thing. Spiritual liberation and freedom was. That was the main track that I was on, and that was kind of my secret track in the Brotherhood, because I was doing some very powerful things with the mind and spirituality and so forth. And the lifestyle was there so that later on, when my mission came to be a public teacher of this material, I could justify saying, I know this stuff, and I don't just know about this stuff. One of the things that was powerful was knowing how, the exact how to manifest goals, dreams, and desires. And I told this story at the high level training for the Global Information Network members, and I'm going to tell it to you. Back in the 80s, I had a company called the American Memory Institute, which was the largest memory training school in the world. We taught people all around the world, hundreds of thousands, over millions of people, how to develop a near photographic instant recall memory. So they could walk into a room, meet 30 or 40 people, and remember everybody's name. Or a student can study for an exam and remember everything for the test time. Or you could remember and make a speech without notes. You could remember things to do, appointments, directions, basically have this superpower memory, this instant recall ability. And I was teaching these seminars around the world. It was fun, and it was ridiculously profitable. We were making millions and millions and millions and millions in profits teaching memory training. And I had a crew of guys that we would go out and we would do speeches and talk about the memory course. I would do interviews on radio shows and TV shows, talk about the memory course. People would then call, and they would purchase a ticket to one of the memory seminar courses, workshops that we had around the world. And I would teach many of these, and I trained guys to teach the memory course as well. And I trained guys how to sell the memory course, how to make speeches and presentations to sell the memory course. And I trained guys on how to teach the memory course. But I still was out there selling it, and because I love to do it, and I was doing the radio shows and TV shows, and I was on all these different shows. I remember one time I was on a radio show in New Jersey, and this fellow calls up, and he says, Kevin, I'm so glad to talk to you. I bought your memory course. It was the best thing I ever did. I said, well, why is that? He goes, well, I'm in the stock industry, the investment world on Wall Street. And he goes, and what happened was when I took your memory course, I committed to memory all 1,500 of the New York Stock Exchange companies and their stock symbols. And when I went into my interview for a job I really wanted, there was over 100 people applying for the same position. And I told them about my powerful memory. So they tested me. And they were blown away. They would say, hey, Charlie, come in here. You got to check this guy out. Because every time I went in for the follow-up interview, I would remember everyone I met. So I would call everyone by their first and last name. Hey, Joe Sulo, good to see you. Franklin Motello, good to see you. He goes, I was like a freak show. Because I obviously got the job. I've gotten 3 promotions since then. I make speeches without notes. He says, I'm making more money than I could ever imagine because of this memory power. He said, but the best part is everybody thinks I'm smart. And he suddenly goes, I'm not too sure if I am, just because I can remember everything, but I certainly appear to be a genius. So I would do this, and it was a lot of fun and very, very profitable. One thing you have to do, though, if you want to manifest goals, dreams, and desires. And if you watch the Peter Sage interview on one of my previous shows, or watch the 10 Steps to Manifesting, if you're a GYN member that I gave at Leadership Weekend, or have gone through the Your Wish is Your Command training, or the Success Mastery course training that I've done, or the Science of Personal Mastery course training, you know that in order to manifest something, you have to be uncomfortable with your current position. There has to be something that is driving you to change, or driving you to manifest something that you don't currently have. You can't wish, because wishful thinking doesn't relate to anything. You can't want something, because that's putting out the feeling of lack. And wanting means the universe is going to give you situations, events, conditions, circumstances, and people so that you're always wanting, but never having. You have to need it. You have to need something. That is a burn. That need comes because of pain. And when you need something, you can't live in need, because then you'll never get it, because then the universe will always make sure you're feeling it need. But when you need something, that's when you can go and experience contrast. In other words, you know what you don't want clearly, and it's giving you a burn, a feeling of pain. So now you need to change. You need something different. That's when you can clearly define what you do want. And then you focus on what you want. You see yourself in possession of it. And then you feel now as if you were actually in attainment of it. Then you release attachment to that outcome by saying, and it's okay if it never happens, while still maintaining that feeling as if you did actually have it. That's when the windows of heaven open and stuff starts coming in. You're broadcasting on a theta beta wave. If your hippocampus is big enough and you've learned how to broadcast on theta, instead of broadcasting on the slave wave or the poverty wave of beta coming out of your brain. Well, I knew this, and I was happy. We were traveling around the world, young guys in our 20s making millions of dollars. This is back in the 80s. I mean, that's huge money, driving Porsches and Ferraris and Rolls Royces and everything in our 20s, you know, getting custom clothes, I mean, dropping money everywhere, Rolex watches, diamond rings worth I had $1 million worth of jewelry. If you go back and look at pictures back then, going to fancy restaurants, everything was just like the best of everything. I mean, you know, it's like a hip hop star. The money was just like flowing like milk and honey. So it's hard to get uncomfortable. But I wanted to show all my colleagues how the manifestation process worked. Because people were coming up to me and saying, hey, listen, you got this great life, but, you know, were you lucky? I mean, things just kind of fell into place. I go, well, I manifested it. I manifested what I wanted. All right, so I have to manifest something different to show you that it actually works. This is how it happened. So I sat there and I said, okay, and there was a bunch of guys sitting in the room. I'll show you how it works. I says, I am going to now really think about my current situation and try to find something that I don't like, which was hard to do. But I thought, I'm traveling. I have to work every day. I have to go out, put my suit on, go out and do speeches. I have to teach the training, because if I don't train the salesmen, if I don't train the instructors, if I don't do some of the instructing, if I don't do some of the selling, the company's not going to continue to grow. So a lot of the income has to do with my ability to perform. If I took a 3 or 4 month or 6 month vacation or a 1 year vacation, the income's going to just collapse in. And now I thought, I don't like that. I don't like having to work. I want to do nothing. I want to travel the world for a year and take a world tour and just do nothing for a year. Just enjoy and spend money. That's what I want to do. And I want money to be pouring into my bank account, a minimum of $50,000 a week, being deposited in my bank account every single week, and I don't have to do anything. It just comes in. So I wrote that down. That was my dream, that I do not have to work. I'm traveling around the world, spending money like a drunken sailor, having the time of my life, and $50,000 minimum is just pouring into my bank accounts every single week, and I don't have to do anything for it. And all my friends said, but how are you going to do that? And I said, stop. You don't have to worry about the how. The universe will figure that out. All you have to define is what you want and get in alignment. It has to be something, however, that you feel could actually happen. For most people, for most of you, you don't believe that's even possible. But I knew it was possible because I had a lot of trust fund kids that I was with in the Brotherhood. They had $100 million in a trust fund, earning 10% dividends and interest. They were getting $10 million a year, and they didn't have to do anything, just on dividends and interest. Just on dividends and interest. They could live on that. They could live on that. We just had an interesting glitch with the camera. So I knew it was possible. I knew that some magical thing could happen. I had guys that I knew that got royalties, that they had money coming in from things that they had did, from inventions. I had guys in the Brotherhood that made inventions and got patents, and they got royalties. Hey, I don't know. I wasn't going to patent anything. I wasn't a trust fund kid, but I knew it was possible, and I also know that it's off the radar screen, and I don't have to figure it out. All I have to know that it's possible, and I'll let the universe figure it out. So I was with these guys, and I wrote this down, and you have to write it down. And I saw myself in possession of this, and I felt now as if I was actually living that dream. And then I released attachment to the outcome. About 2 weeks later, I was in New York City, staying at the Plaza Hotel, in the largest suite in the Plaza Hotel. And I wanted to go to a famous deli called the Carnegie Deli. They were famous for their corned beef and pastrami sandwiches. So I went to the Carnegie Deli, and they have these long tables. And at each table, there's maybe 8 or 9 chairs on one side, 8 or 9 chairs on another side. And you sit at this table, so you're kind of sitting next to someone you don't know. And you're sitting across from the person you're with. So if it's busy, there's a person over here you don't know, there's a person over here you don't know, and it's busy. So I sat down, and I ordered a Danny Rose sandwich, which is a half corned beef, half pastrami, on rye, of course. And there's mustard at the table, and you put mustard on it. It's about this big. So I get my Danny Rose sandwich. I'm with my girlfriend at the time. And the guy's sitting right next to my girlfriend, right there. I look at him, and I'm thinking, oh, he looks familiar. I'm in New York. A lot of famous people go to this place. So I look at him, and then it rings a bell, because I am a memory expert. And I said to him, hey, your name is Bobby Singer, the blackjack expert. He goes, that's right. I said, I've seen you on TV do those infomercials, and I actually bought your course on how to make money playing blackjack, called the Bobby Singer Method. And it was basically how to count playing cards and how to use a basic betting strategy so you could win. And Bobby Singer was so good, he's banned from playing blackjack. He was in what's called the Griffin Book. So he was banned. He didn't do anything illegal. They just say, you're too good for us. Even though you're playing legal, you're not cheating, it's 100% legal. The casinos have the right to say, we don't want your play. So he's been banned. So rather than play blackjack, he decided to sell a course on it. So I bought it. And I said, hey, listen, I bought your course, and it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And he goes, how did you do with it? And I says, well, it was really easy for me because I'm a memory expert. I can remember all the playing cards, so it's really easy. He goes, what do you mean a memory expert? I goes, yeah, I teach memory training. I teach people how to improve their memory. We do seminars around the world, blah, blah, blah. And he said, you should record one of those seminars, put it on cassette tape, and sell it on a TV infomercial. And I said, well, actually, you don't know our business and our customer. That's not going to work because the people that buy our course generally are salespeople, business professionals, because they want to make money and they need to remember names or, product codes or things like that. And in business, a powerful memory means money. Good memory means more money in business. So I don't think it'll sell on television. And he goes, no, it'll definitely sell on TV. I said, no, I don't think it will. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what, I'll put up all the money. I'll shoot the infomercial. I'll do everything and just pay you a royalty. So what do you got to lose? I go, well, I really wouldn't want to do that because I don't want you to waste your money. I would feel terrible about you investing in the production of a TV infomercial, investing in the production of the product, investing in the inventory of the product, investing in buying media and testing it out, you could lose $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. I would feel terrible about that. He goes, no, I'll risk it because I think it'll work. Here's my business card. He goes, give me your contact details. I'm going to send you a contract. We're going to do a deal. I said, I think this is a big mistake because I don't think it's going to work. It's a true story. I go back to the Plaza Hotel. I pick up the phone, and back then we didn't have cell phones. This is 1988. I pick up the phone and I call my home phone where my answering machine is, and I hit the code in to see if there's any messages. And there's a message from a guy named Dr. Alex Duarte, good friend of mine. He goes, Kevin, it's Dr. Duarte. I'm in Lake Tahoe, Nevada, and I bumped into an old friend of yours, Ed Beckley. Ed Beckley did one of the first TV infomercials in 1984 called The Millionaire Maker. How to buy real estate with no money down. Ed asked me what you were doing, and I told him about the success of your memory training business. And Ed said that you should put that on cassette tape, make it into a home study course, and sell it on TV. He'll put up all the money, give me a call. Are you getting chills down your body right now as you're listening to this? 2 weeks earlier, I put together, this is what I want. And in 2 weeks, on the same day, I got 2 people offering to put up all the money to do a TV infomercial for a memory course. I don't even see that this is an answer to my prayer. I don't even get it. That's how dumb I was. How slow, right? Because it was off the radar screen. So I call up Ed Beckley and go, listen, I met this guy named Bobby Singer. He goes, I know Bobby Singer. Bobby's terrific. I says, well, why should I go with you versus Bobby? He goes, you can go with Bobby. Bobby will do a great job. He's a great guy. I think I'll do a better job. I'd like to work with you. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, whoever sends me the contract first is who I'll go with, but I both think you're dumb because I don't think it's going to work. A week later, via Federal Express. Now, back then, if you got the Federal Express man to come to your house, it was like the biggest thing since sliced bread. So I remember the Federal Express man coming, ringing the doorbell to the office and handing me a Federal Express envelope. And everybody in the office is going, ooh, the Federal Express guy, ooh. So I opened it up. It's a contract from my good friend, Ed Beckley. And he was working with a guy named Kevin Harrington. Some of you may know him. Kevin Harrington, super great guy, him and his brother Tim. They owned a company called Quantum Marketing back then. Kevin Harrington was one of the first sharks on the U.S. version of Shark Tank. So we get on the phone, we tweak the contract a little bit, and I sign it. About a week later, I get the contract also from Federal Express from Bobby Singer. So I had to call up Bobby Singer and say, hey, Bobby, sorry, but I signed with Ed Beckley. He sent me the contract a week ago. He goes, man, I think I blew a lot of profits. By the way, years later, Bobby Singer and I were at the head table of a convention for the National Infomercial Marketing Association where I was actually deemed the infomercial king. And Bobby Singer says, you know, by missing that contract by 1 week, probably cost me around $30 million in profits. I go, cost you a lot more. He was like, oh no, I was slow. If I was faster. I go, yeah, Bobby, I know. So we signed the contract and I said, look, this infomercial, how do you do an infomercial? They said, well, we have to write a script. I go, I'm not an actor. I'm not reading a teleprompter. I'm not doing a script. I go, let me tell you what we're going to do. I said, you're going to basically just fill a room with people. I'm going to get up there and do the same presentation I do all the time and just film it. That's all you have to do. You mean you don't need a teleprompter? I go, I do this presentation every day. I know how to do it. Just, I'll show up in a suit and tie. You put makeup on me, put a microphone on me, say go. I will give my presentation, film it, and we're done. You just edit the call to action, maybe get a couple testimonials from some of my students, put that in, and you're good. They go, this will be the easiest infomercial and the cheapest we ever shot. And Ed said, but I think it's going to work. So we went to Fairfield, Iowa, which is the transcendental meditation capital of the world. And we got a studio there with Hawthorne Marketing. They had the studio, and we worked with them, and Ed Beckley was working with them. So they got the cameras, and they built the set. They filled it up with people. And I went in there, and I shot the show, and I went home. My total time commitment was flying in the night before, shooting the show in the morning, flying out that afternoon. I did nothing else. About 6 weeks later, the show was edited and put on the air. And it was working. People were buying. About 8 weeks later, I got my first royalty check. And it was deposited on a Friday. Remember I told you I want a check being deposited in my account every week. The first check, the first one, was over $100,000 for the week. My royalty. I remember my biggest check was over 580 something thousand for the week. For the week. Every Friday, I got a check for way over $50,000. Way over $50,000. We did over $450 million in sales of that one product over the years. My royalty was over 10%. So you can do the math. You get what you ask for. Hi, I'm Kevin Trudeau. This is everything they don't want you to know about to improve the quality of your life. Broadcasting every Monday and Wednesday, 2 days a week now. Monday and Wednesday at 1 o'clock Chicago time. Make sure you tune in and subscribe to the channel and share these shows with everyone you know.